So what I do is I measure carefully. I allow for a little bit of play in the wires, but not a whole lot, usually for about 1/8 of an inch or so. And I just take my nippers, snip the wire, grab my take that, and just a little bit on the end. Geez, it's about a 1/64 of an inch. There's not much there. Put a little bit of flux on the end. Clean my tip, and I just put always a little bit of solder on my tip. It just makes things flow easier. And that's all. Now that end of that wire is soldered, and just ever so neatly and gently, I just place it on the tab, and just a touch is all it takes. So nice and neat, clean. The solder itself has a nice shiny look to it. That's a good solder joint right there. I use the Weller variable temp solder. I do a lot of soldering, and with a fine point, it allows me to get right in there and work on small electronics like these decoders. So the next thing I got to do is do the positive side. I twist those wires a little bit, and that way they stay a little bit neater. Fortunately, I have big old sausage fingers, so sometimes it's easier for me to work with finer tools. So I just want to get a rough estimate right there. And before I button up this decoder or button up this locomotive, I use dental floss to tie all my wires and bundle them nice and neat. It creates one more room inside the shell of the locomotive. It also prevents wires from touching speakers, touching the diaphragm of the speaker, and prevents rattling noises, etc., etc. And as I mentioned earlier, neatness does count. So, as I say, just a little bit of a dab there. Let me sure I've got enough flux on there. So I've got like a little bit of solder here on the tip of my iron, and then boom, that's all it is. Not even half a second. You're just barely touching the the soldering iron to the pad, and that solder will flow right off onto the pad and make a good solder joint between the wire and the pad. Works great, and with a little bit of practice, you can get pretty good pretty quickly.